Hi dreamers, welcome back to my channel Roses, Star and Books, and today I'm here with my March wrap up. Oh my gosh, my jersey, well, my top and my background is matching, like it's almost the same color, exact color, and I'm looking orange as well. Whatever, but anyways, I'm here with my March wrap up, right? I read like 27 books in March. Most of them are children's picture books, which is crazy because I don't know. Since having my child, that's the only thing I'm looking to read. Like, I want to make sure that when I'm reading stories for her when she's a little older, even though I read to her now, when I'm reading stories for her, I want to make sure that it's suitable, it teaches her something, she can learn from them basically, or like have a vivid wild imagination when she's reading. So I've been reading a lot of children's picture books, so I will talk about them and a few novels that I've read as well. I might not remember every single detail or a good chunk of information from these books, because like when I'm finished with a book, once it's not like outstanding, I tend to forget a lot of the details. But anyway, so let us start with the beginning of March. So I read Let Me Hear a Rhyme by Tiffany D. Jackson. I can't remember much from this book, but I do remember giving it 4 stars. I think, well, someone died. They were at this funeral and all these things. So that is what I remember, and I don't know why I gave it 4 stars, but I did. I listened to the audiobook. I really loved the audiobook. I remember the person's voice. I really loved listening to the audiobook, so maybe that's why I give it 4 stars, because the audiobook to me was good. Then I read a comic, or graphic novel or so, which is I'm in Love and It's the End of the World, Volume 4, which I gave 3 stars. This one is like, this girl is just so over dramatic to me. It's like, come on girl, like come on, why are you being so over dramatic? Why? And that is why I haven't given this series, no book in this series, like a 5 star, because like every time I read this, I have to roll my eyes so hard. Like, she's so caught up in her own world that it takes her some time to realize certain things that is going on around her and with her partner and with other people. And I like that she's coming out of her headspace a little bit and realizing things in her surroundings. I'm liking that part, but sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, get a hold of yourself. That is how I feel with this series. Like, yeah, but I will be continuing reading these because I want to see her character development. So yeah. Then I read a kid's book, a children's picture book, You Are Not Small by Anna Kong. Oh, and the previous book was by Tamu or Tamu, something like that. So You Are Not Small. This one was basically comparing sizes. So like this, the bear was big and this person was small. It's like, yeah, comparing, like, you know like you might seem small to this person, but then you have a next person that might be smaller than you, so you might seem big to that person. Yes, it was just about size comparisons. So that I gave it 3 stars. Then I read This Is Not Enough, which is this book in the series um, of the previous book by Anna Kong, which I gave 4 stars. This one was basically they had to give gifts to one another, and it's like I don't know if the friendship was so great that anything you gave, he felt like he had to give the the friend was not enough to him, but it was something like that. Yeah. And then I read Eraser by Anna Kong, and this one I really loved it. I think I gave it 5 stars. Yes, I gave it 5 stars. I really loved it because like the eraser in this story was feeling so insignificant, was feeling like she wasn't important. Like the pencil and everybody else was like, oh, I'm better than you guys, I'm better than you guys. And eraser was feeling so insignificant because everyone paid more attention to the pencil and what he was doing, you know. And then she decided to disappear, to go, because like she wasn't feeling wanted. And when she left, things went south because then the pencil wasn't able to erase its mistakes that it made. And in the end, it's like, I really do need you, like you are very important. And I think this was a beautiful story because it shows that even though you might feel, you know, like you're not important, someone thinks that you are. And sometimes they don't realize, people don't realize how important you are to them until you take a step back. But at the end of the day, you are important to a lot of people, to some people. It doesn't matter, but you are important. And I found the story to be very beautiful. This is one of the stories that I will be reading to my kid over and over again, because she needs to know that she is hella important. She needs to know that she's wanted, you know. And I don't want nobody to make her feel like she's not important. So I will be reading this to keep reminding of that message. And she's here, like she's on the chair chilling. So yeah, then I read Star Collector Volume 1 by Anna Backhausen. I think that's how to pronounce the name. But Star Collector was basically about um I think it was written in a kind of manga style, so I think it's a manga. But basically, the two characters, well, the beginning was between a male and a female, and like the girl broke up with the boy because she felt like he wasn't into the relationship, and she felt like he wasn't into girls, I think, in general. And then he went up to the hills to smoke, like to this secluded area where he smokes and things, I guess. And basically, someone new was there, and it was a guy, and they basically fell in love. The guy loved watching stars, he loved the galaxy. He had his telescope, yeah, telescope, and he was looking at the stars. And basically, yeah, they formed a connection, they fell in love. I thought that was a beautiful story. I gave it 4 stars. Wow, I'm surprised at how much I remember these books. I thought I wouldn't remember them, but anyways. Then I read Clark the Shark, Too Many Treats by Bruce Hale. Gave this one 4 stars. This one was a next children's picture book. Basically, Clark the Shark learned a lesson that, you know, he shouldn't be greedy. Like his mom baked brownies for his school, and he's basically sit down and eat all. And then I think he wasn't feeling too well, or like, but anyways, he learned his lesson. That's the point. He learned his lesson. And then I read Blockshot by Kennedy Ryan, which I give 4 stars. Why am I not remembering the novels that have read? Like, I remember the picture books more than the novels. Why? But Kennedy Ryan Blockshot, I do remember some things from it. I remember this thick, luscious girl, which is the main character, and there is this playboy, you could say, that's the male, that's the next character, and he basically loved, I think that's the story. Yes, he basically loved the thick lusciousness of the girl. He loved her, how smart she was, how caring and compassionate she was. And then he was trying to get into this college, society, club. I don't know how this works because I don't have this in my country, but yes, he was trying to get things, and basically he had to do some things, and they told him that he had to sleep with a fat girl, and he basically was like, I'm not doing this, like, I'm not doing this to get into the club. And he basically was like, I'm quitting, I don't want to get into this club anymore. But he did end up sleeping with her, and they found, well, they basically embarrassed her, like walking on them and stuff like that. And she thought for many years that he played her, when in fact he didn't. He actually liked her. And it's about them finding each other second. You could say it's like almost like a second chance romance, but not really, because they didn't really have a romance in the beginning. They just like had a one night stand kind of thing. But yeah, I loved it. So yeah. Then I read Shackled Liberation by Donella D. Houston, which I gave 5 stars. This was a poetry collection which has recently released. It's one by an author from my country, Grenada, and it is a beautiful collection, must I say. Like, it talks about a lot of deep matters, about skin color, about love, about life in general, and I don't know, like, the poems really touched me. Like, some I found was more personal than others, so I realized that maybe she went through those scenarios that made the poem felt the poem feel more authentic. But yeah, I loved the whole book, and it's not that long of a book, it's pretty short. Then I read Sunbathing on Tyrone Howell's Grave by Kim Dower, which I gave 2 stars. Like, this book to me, this collection of poems, what to me was boring. And that's all I have to say. I'm very hard when it comes to critiquing poetry, because that's really, you could say, my specialty in school. That's the area that I would get the higher marks on, instead of drama and um, fiction writing with short stories or novels or whatever. Poetry section was my section to excel, and I love poetry, and I critique poetry very hard. So, like, yeah, it is what it is. Then I read What I See in Me by Becky Snow, which I gave 5 stars. This one was basically an arc, and I love this. It is, I can't remember full details, but I will I will put on the screen my initial thoughts about it, because I left a review, and like, it was just such an important message that I gave it 5 stars. Like, that's all you have to know. It's an important message. It's like, I think the characters, there's all different characters in this illustration book, this children's picture book, and I think essentially it was about differences and about loving your differences. So yeah, I loved that message. I loved the way in which the author wrote that message, and I loved the illustrations representing that message. So yeah, then I read Designer Peep and Dancer Peep by Taba- Tabitha Taylor, which I gave both 3 stars. It was just like a fun little story about a dog. Yeah, like these two I had to review as well. I'll put up my reviews on the side because like it's not much to say about these two. It's just a fun little story. I think this one was rhyming, and I think I love to rhyme. So yeah. Then I read The Gecko with an Echo by Cheryl Dennis Palmerman, which I give 5 stars. This one again was about, I think initially the gecko felt like he wasn't being heard. Um, well, they use the echo as a metaphor in a sense where he was speaking and trying to hear if it would echo back at him, and he was not hearing that. But his friend by his side was hearing him, but he felt still like he wasn't being heard as long as he didn't have that echo, like he wasn't being heard. But his friend kept telling him that I'm hearing you, you know, until like he went into a cave and he spoke, and then he heard his echo, and he was like, finally, I'm being heard. And the friend was like, I've been hearing you all along, so yeah, it's like you are important to me. Like nobody else really matters if nobody else is hearing you. It's like I'm hearing you. I'm here for you. The ones you love is here for you. So I really love that. Then I read Leon's Lesson by Maureen San, which I give 3 stars. This one, initially I really loved it, right? And then when I sat and thought about it a little bit, I I give it 3 stars because like Leon essentially was stealing at school. Like, well, some of the ideas were kind of disconnected, like it being Leon's first day at school or first time going into school or whatever. Like, I didn't think that mentioning that had anything to do with the story. And then it's like he went home with children's stuff, and then until he himself lost something that was important to him, and he realized, oh, this is how they might have felt when he took their stuff. He brought back the stuff and left a sorry note without nobody noticing. um in a way he learned his lesson, but at the same time I felt like he could have owned up. I think ownership of a situation like that is really important as well, other than just learning not to steal, because you felt a certain way when you lost your stuff. But I felt like he should have owned up and be like, oh, I did this, sorry that I did this, I realized that I was wrong for doing this. So yeah, like, yeah, that's why I give it 3 stars. Like, own up for what you have done. Don't just leave anonymous note saying sorry. So yeah, then again, it could be, oh, there's many debates that could be set up on this topic, but anyways, let's move on. Then I read Unlock Your Storybook Heart by Amanda Lovelace, which I give 3 stars. Initially, I really want to give it 2 stars because I found this to be very boring. Again, it's a poetry collection. Her collections of poetry, I don't know what to say. It's not really my taste and my style, because you could say it's like modern, more modern poetry. I guess you could say that I'm more of a traditional, in a sense, a traditional poet. Poet, not that traditional, but a slight, a trace of traditional. And her poem is more modern, like Tumblr, Instagram poetry, and sometimes it falls flat because there is no set structure to say. I just felt like sometimes her poetry feels like just random thoughts and not. I don't know. People might disagree with me because she is one of the poets that are loved, I guess, and popular, but it doesn't change the fact that there isn't much depth and structure and, you know, real dense. I don't know how to explain it, but it whatever. I just gave it 3 stars anyway. Then I read her Flower Crown and Fearsome Things book, and I straight up gave it 2 stars. It was so boring. I had no interest. It was not hooking me at all, so I just gave it 2 stars. Then I read Curse of the Arctic Star by Caroline Keene, and I also read the second book to that series, Strangers on a Train, which I gave 3 stars. This was Nancy Drew's series. This was a Nancy Drew series. I I am currently on the third book. I am halfway through the third book. I gave both of these 3 stars. Essentially, I it was a nice story, but I pretty much figured out the the stuff way before the book ended. The clues, and I mean it's for kids, so sometimes kids might not be thinking about all the clues that they left throughout in the starting of the stories. But I mean, I was a smart kid and I love mysteries, so I probably would have figured this out the same way as I'm figuring out now. But anyways, it was a lovely story even though I figured out the mysteries very early. Like the second book, I didn't even feel that it was needed because like I was like it's obvious who is playing with Nancy. But anyways, and then I read Black Hope Scar by David Kennedy McCulloch, which I gave 5 stars. This one, what I remember most about this book is the writing style. Like the writing style was very beautiful. The dialect in this was very authentic. It felt like, like a real conversation was taking place with two people. Most of the time when authors are writing books, the conversations or the way the individuals speak to each other is often written in like standard English or so, and that's not always the case with native speakers of the language. Like we have our broken English, our the way we say things might be different to the standardized English, and this book felt very authentic and the writing was just beautiful, and that's what I remember from it. Yeah, it was a beautiful, it's fantasy, it's magical, the language is beautiful. What more? The world building was top notch. What more do you need? Just read it. Like, yeah. Then I read A House of Pomegranates by Oscar Wilde, which I give 2 stars. I think this is a classic. I'm not too sure. I will have to look, but I think this is a classic. And might I say, the sentences are so long in this book. Like, why do we have such long sentences? Why? Why is the sentence so long? What are we waiting for to put that full stop? I do not know. I don't know why I put an accent for that one, but why are the sentences so long? That is how I felt while reading this book. Like seriously, like every sentence I read, and I realized that oh my god, this sentence hasn't ended. I was like, why is this sentence so long? I was like, why is this sentence so long? But yeah, that's my initial thoughts on this. I do not even care for the story. All my focus was on while reading this was, oh, why is this sentence so long? I don't know if it's the copy that I got. I don't know if there is any other. Well, obviously there must be other versions because I do think it is a classic. I don't know if they fix those things in other versions, but this version that I read, that's the only thought running through my head while I'm reading. Why is the sentence so long? It was just so funny. I was like, we haven't ended this sentence yet. Whew. There was a whole set of commas. I was like, why put a comma? You could have just stopped that sentence and start a new sentence. Why? Why? My OCD for grammar was triggered. You know. So yeah, that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts. Then I read the next children's picture book, Mink, the Pink Sheep by Lizette R. Alexander, which I gave 3 stars. This one, initially the sheep was white. She rolled around in some strawberries, which turned her coat pink. Then all the other sheep followed. Basically, this was an arc, and might I say, like the formatting of this arc was like bad. But anyways, that's the story. Gave it 3 stars. Hi, baby. My child is being fussy, so I have to really finish the rest. So then I have Lasso the Moon by Amanda Merles, which I gave 5 stars. This one, oh my god, the artwork in this one was so beautiful. Like the artwork alone made this book get 5 stars. The artwork alone, it was so chef's kiss. It was so beautiful. Marvelous artwork. The story was good, but the artwork was astounding. That person who drew the art illustration for this book, I love to meet that person. It was very beautiful, very very beautiful, and that's why I gave it 5 stars. The story was good too. Don't get me wrong, it was good. But what I remember most from this was the artwork, and this was an arc I received. Since I started reading like all these children's picture books, I created an Instagram account for to post about the children's picture books that I read. I didn't want to put it on my main account. So yeah, the author messaged me and was like, can you read this in exchange for review and whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, sure, I would love to. Yeah, and I'm glad I did because it was beautiful. Then the next series of books, which is 4 books, was written by me. I read my own books this month. Yeah, I read my own books. So I read Can't Fall Apart. I gave all of them 5 stars because it's my books. I am allowed to give them 5 stars. So I read Can't Fall Apart, Falling Petals, Songs I Like. Well, I like 3 books. I didn't read the next one. So I read Can't Fall Apart, which was the first ever book that I've published, that I published back in 2018. And it was basic. I read it because I basically wanted to refresh my mind on what I wrote, and I was so surprised. I was like, I wrote this. It was very good. Like, it surprised me. I was like, I wrote this. Yeah. So you should read it too. Like, read my books. You won't regret it. And I wish more people would discover my books, because like, if they do discover my work, you will see that my work is beautiful. That me critiquing poetry hard is not just me just being mean, but I actually know what I'm about when it comes to writing poetry. But the first book didn't really have like grammar structure really. It was written like a poem, but not really like a commas and all these things on it, because like I was just testing out how to publish a book at the time, and I just picked like a bunch of random poems. I didn't even like really checked for grammar and stuff like that. But grammar and stuff is not so much of an issue in within the book or the poems anyway. So yeah. Then I read, as I said, Falling Petals, which is my more recent published poetry work. And this one I took more time with formatting and my grammar. I have pictures, I have illustrations and everything in there, which is beautiful. Yeah. Then I published very like with this month I published Songs I Like, which is a poem I wrote back when I was like a kid, like 12, and I did illustrations for it, and I published it as a children's book because it was giving children's book vibes. And that one is not long. I think I might have to go. Let me just talk about my last book that I read, which is A Chance for Love by Trisha Gill, which I gave 5 stars. I gave 5 stars because it was beautiful. This book had me in anticipation from the beginning. From the anticipate, I felt the emotion that the main character was feeling and everything like that. Yeah, like very beautiful story, and it was written by a friend of mine. Very beautiful story. Just read it, y'all. My daughter right now is like, I need your attention, mommy. So I gotta go. That's all the books I've read in March. 27 books. And I will see you guys in my next video. I have a few videos to post. Yeah, bye.